sorry, muted. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Pour Your Heart Out, Black Women's Honest Conversations. Thank you for joining us tonight. If you missed our last episode, episode number 1, you missed a treat. So make sure that whenever you get a chance, you hop back down into our channel and you check out that episode. It was a real treat. And tonight we're bringing another one for you, a really hot topic. So tonight we are going to be talking about co-parenting in the Black community. And the title of tonight's episode is Lies, DNA Tests, Accountability, and Child Support. So I'm sure many relate to that topic in some way, whether we are a parent in the co-parenting relationship or as a child in the co-parenting relationship. All righty. So tonight I am bringing some of our big hitters again. All righty. So the Pour Your Heart Out panel, they're a panel of 12 of us ladies, but you won't see all 12 of us in every episode. So that is the wonderful part about having so many beautiful, intelligent women on our panel, is that depending on what the episode is about, you may see different ones popping in to share their experiences and their perspectives. So tonight we wanted to make sure that we had some women that can really talk about their contribution as far as being in a co-parenting relationship and what that's like. So we wanted to bring on some ladies that can share their experiences. All righty. So I am going to go ahead and bring my lovely ladies on the panel. All righty. And again, I am Nini. I am your host, and I can't wait to get started with you. So let's go ahead and pour our hearts out. All righty. So I am going to go ahead and start bringing my ladies on the stage. Hello, ladies. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you all so much for joining me. We have some familiar faces tonight, everybody. And before we get started, I'm just going to ask all of my viewers, please make sure that you like and subscribe and share this out so that someone else can check it out. Like, we need to be out there. All right. So go ahead and share that. All right. And feel free to drop a comment inside of the chat. So let's go ahead. We are going to go ahead and we're going to introduce our panel for those of you who do not know these beautiful ladies. So ladies, I'm just going to ask you to introduce yourselves and then tell us a little bit about your co-parenting situation. All right. Just to let them know that you do have some good insight on what we're talking about tonight. So let's go ahead and start with Miss Breezy, Queen B.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Bridget. I go by Queen B, Queen Breezy, whatever you're comfortable calling me. I have a lot of insight in co-parenting. I have 4 children, 3 fathers, and that requires a lot of juggling and co-parenting, and we try to do it as healthily as possible, but doesn't always work out that way, so we're going to talk about it.
All right, sounds good. All right, Shaka, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about your co-parenting situation?
Well, hello. My name is Shaka, and I go by Shaka. And, those of you who are comfortable, you can call me Shaka. Just biting off you, Queen Bee, just biting off you. I have been in a co-parenting relationship with he's my ex now. So with exes, I've had to help co-parent. Well, I have a daughter. She just turned 23. And her father and I are divorced, and we've been divorced for years. He has remarried, so I also have, that experience. So yeah, I kind of know a little bit about this subject, just a little bit about a lot,
All right, I can't wait to hear more from you. And last, we have Miss Trina. Go ahead and introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about your co-parenting situation.
Okay, hi, my name is Trina Howard. I basically have a co-parenting situation in 3 different scenarios. I have a 19-year-old son who I co-parent with his father, who is a married man. So I have the wife situation. I have an 11-year-old who I co-parent with, who currently is in a relationship, has a girlfriend. So I have the girlfriend dynamic, and I have 6-year-old twins, who I co-parent with their father, who is single, but go back and forth with me. And, I got the messy co-parenting situation as well.
So you get to speak from all different viewpoints of it.
Oh,
So that's what I love about my panel of ladies is that we are able to share different experiences. And as far as me, I'm not a parent in a co-parenting relationship, but I have been the child in a co-parenting relationship that was not great. All righty. So that's where I'll be able to come in from that. But thank you again, ladies, for joining us. I appreciate the input and the value that you bring to this show. So we are going to go ahead and get started. So the first thing we want to talk about is responsible parenthood and mandatory paternity testing. So we're going to bring it down from first the paternity test. The child is here, and now we want to talk about that paternity testing and issues that can come with that, particularly your thoughts on mandatory paternity testing. So what do you ladies think is the importance of both the mother and the father taking responsibility first from preventing unwanted pregnancies?
It's on both parts.
Okay, speak more about that. Why do you say it's on both parts? Because that's one thing that we hear a lot about. Well, if she didn't want to get pregnant or she didn't want any more kids, she should have done this. But if he doesn't want any more kids, she knew that he didn't want more kids, she still should have done this. So speak more about it being both of their responsibilities.
I mean, I feel like if you're adult enough or you've made a decision where you're going to be sexually active with whomever, then you always run that risk of everything that comes with happening unprotectedly or protectedly with, being sexual with someone. So you run the risk of disease. Is it his fault that he may have given you something and you purposely didn't wear a condom or, didn't know how to put on a condom or whatever the situation is? Same thing with pregnancy. You get pregnant, dad can't point the blame at mom and mom can't point the blame at dad. So you both take precautions, and you also have communication, which it always goes back to. Talk about these things before y'all just start jumping into, whatever situation, if that's the situation. You sit, you have a conversation. Do you want kids? What happens if, when you're dating, I feel like, not to get off subject, but when you're dating, that's the whole point of dating, to get to know your partner. So these are the times to ask these questions. Do you want to have children? Are you open to not having kids? How do you feel about your spouse maybe wanting, or your potential partner wanting to have children and now they don't? What happens in the instance that we do end up pregnant? So on and so forth. So I feel like it's on both people.
All right. I like that. And I like that you included that communication part. We know that having sex, that could be a risk, whether it's something that you want or that you don't want. So that communication ahead of time can help to prevent a lot of that. And then just being responsible. So I like that you mentioned the communication and basically both parties taking that accountability. All right. Anybody else want to chime in on that part?
I think it's definitely on both parties, men and women. Woman, if you don't want to get pregnant, we have several different options for birth control. Men, if you don't want to have a baby, you have options of birth control. So I think it's a communication thing. Normally, when we're at that age that we are having kids, we are young. The mind is young. We're a little bit more reckless. So it's easier said than done right now at the age we are currently at. So for those who are younger at that age where we're making babies, I think it's real simple. If you don't see a forever with them, you need to be using birth control if you don't see forever, because it's forever. It's not to 18 years, it's forever. They become adults, they still call on you, they still need you. Those adults then kids. So you went from sharing kids to sharing grandkids to sharing great grandkids. We're not 18 years, we forever, ever. So if you don't see them forever, she ain't it, he ain't it.
Very true.
I had to turn her camera on that one.
Forever, ever.
I like that. It's forever,
ever.
All right, Breezy, you want to chime in?
I agree. It's definitely on both parties to decide, what are we gonna do? Are we just having fun? And if that's the case, let's be really responsible about what we're doing to make sure we don't bring children into this situation. But if we're on that level where we know it's possible, that we might slip and get pregnant, it's on both of us to decide what is it that we're going to do now and how are we going to move forward in the best interest of the child.
I like that. Responsibility. All right. I love that. I'm just looking over in the chat. Trevor says most people have sex before they get to know the person. And that is a problem a lot of the times as well. Having sex before you get to know them, and then not, again, what Shaka said, not having that communication open with them. Michael says it's not really a blame thing. It's more of who is usually stuck with the kid. That's why women are more chastised. You'll be stuck with the kid most likely. So be careful. Absolutely. Shaka, I heard you say something. You want to say something?
I do. I want to respond to. I mean, I think you hit the. You said it when Trevor mentioned that it happens when you're young and you don't have that communication, right? So that's why, as we're talking to our children about, life as they're growing up, regardless of if it's education or sex or whatever's happening, whatever's current event is going on, you still open that communication, because it's not at a point of when, or if your child is going to have sex, it's when they're going to have sex. So if that's the case, then you teach them about communicating and dating, and not necessarily just being young and rushing into a decision. Because for me and my household, when I was growing up, it was very taboo. Like, you don't really talk about it. You got books on it, and you better not get pregnant. And that's all that it was. But there was no communication of, well, why? What happens if I don't? And then to reply to Mike's comment, it's not the woman who always or usually may get stuck with the child. I have dated men in the past, and I know for a fact that 3 of them have full custody of their child, and the mother is quote unquote a deadbeat or not around, or giving up her rights, or just decided it was best for the child to go stay with the father. So it doesn't necessarily have to be just for the woman to be stuck on the kid and to be careful. You men, it's some trifling women out here, and they will stick the kid on you.
You speaking, and that's going to lead us right to this next topic. Not the next topic, but the next section about the challenges and benefits of mandatory paternity testing in the Black community. How do you all feel about mandatory paternity testing?
Absolutely. It needs to be mandatory. It needs to be part of the birthing process.
Yes.
When we have babies, there is a process that they go through. They go through hearing tests. They go through jaundice tests. They go through blood tests to see what type blood they are. They go through a lot. The only requirement for these men right now to sign a birth certificate is he just have to have his driver license. And that's not fair. That's not fair to that man. It is not fair, because it will always and forever be mama's baby, daddy's maybe. So a lot of these men have been tricked into not just signing birth certificates, but actually funding and physically taking care of kids that the next man can take because the test is not mandatory. The test needs to be mandatory. And even though the test is not currently mandatory, and it should be, don't get it to men. Don't worry about nobody's feelings. If she said you are the daddy, DNA the child. You can always sign the birth certificate after the fact. Don't worry about the hospital, because that birth certificate can be signed after the fact. That child can get your last name after the fact. DNA your child, because you have no idea how many of y'all, and I'm gonna say we, but and I ain't did this now, but we as women, we have tricks y'all beyond belief. Some of us have done it vindictively, where it has been intentional, and we have just picked the better man. Some of us have did it accidentally, where we seriously thought you was the father, but you're not. A lot of women mind tends to work. They're not so educated with their body. So a lot of women tend to think that, oh, I slept with him 30 times. I only slept with him 1 time. So I got to be the man I slept with 30 times. Absolutely not. The egg don't count sex and count sexual encounters. It's not counting your sexual encounters. It's counting whatever sperm hit that egg first. Men need to DNA their kids. As the mother of 4 sons, I am telling you right now, don't tell your daughter to mess with none of my sons, because the baby will be DNA'd. If I have to do it behind your back, it's getting DNA'd. I'm DNAing all children. I tell my son, we DNAing all children. I highly recommend it, and it need to be mandatory.
I didn't always feel that way, but I definitely feel that way now. But I had my first son at 20 years old, and his father didn't request a DNA test. His mother did. So I was so offended because in my mind, at that age, she didn't lay down with me. Her son laid down with me. So why is she asking for a DNA test? That's the way I was thinking. It offended me because to me, he knew I wasn't with anybody else. But in all honesty, they do not know. And everybody should DNA their children.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Shaka, you want to add to that? But to piggyback off of what Bridget just said, I agree with that because I've seen that a lot where they're offended, and that's a natural feeling to have when you know that you haven't been with anybody else, and he knows that, but then you have this other person. But I understand, like, you know what Trina is saying, like they give the baby all of these different tests, and my baby went through a million different tests, but you know that was not one of them. And unfortunately, there are women out there that are doing that. They are figuring out, okay, well, I slept with both of them, and this one will benefit me more as being the father. So I'm just going to put up on this, and that's not fair to that man, especially if he's a good man and he's in that child's life, and then come to find out that this baby is not even his. All righty. I'm just looking over it. I come over to the chat every now and then. Thank you all for hopping in. Please make sure that you like and subscribe. Mike, what are you saying? Young women are offended by everything. Yeah,
Not every.
Not every,
but that is offensive.
Yeah,
especially when you're young. When you're young, yeah.
Because we're not thinking past that. At that moment, we're in our feelings a lot of the time, and you know, like you said, you're not the one that I slept with, so why are you the one asking for it, and he's not even asking for it? All right. So you guys kind of already talked about the benefits of, you know, the mandatory paternity testing. What are some challenges that you think mandatory paternity testing could present in the Black community? Any challenges?
People not getting away with their lives no more. That's about the only challenge that can come up, because if we're making sure, and I'm a mom of 3 sons, so I understand what Trina is saying as well. But I also want, if my daughter decides she wants to be a mother, I also want her to know you have to be responsible with the decisions that you're making with your body. If you're going to go out there and experiment and be sleeping with multiple people, and now you're pregnant and you can't put yourself in that boat, because you don't then get to just decide who you think would be a better father. It's who that child belongs to. And they have a right to know whose blood they are. And it's not fair just to pick. And she's right. A lot of women do it. I almost told on somebody, you know how you go to the hospital and visit your friends right after they have the baby. And in our minds, it was so-and-so's baby. But when I saw the baby's feet, I was like, why this baby feet just like this baby feet, but that ain't that baby daddy? And she was like, shut the fuck up. And I was like, oh, no, my bad. You know, yeah, it happens more often than we would like to admit. Yeah, eventually.
He found out?
Eventually he did.
Wow.
Eventually he did. Years and years and years later.
Oh my gosh.
But it happens.
It happens way too often. That's the reason why we're able to have shows like Maury and Judge Lake, and we're able to have these shows that has been on for years. And they have done thousands of episodes, and they have DNA millions of fathers, and that's the reason why this exists, because it is a problem in our community. It is a big problem in our community, and it affects the men way more than it affects us women. So even if we intentionally or unintentionally pick the wrong father, at the end of the day, you know, for us it is what it is. But for these men, it changed somebody's life, probably unnecessarily. You have been physically taking care of a child, picking up, dropping off, doing this, doing that for a human life that you really didn't have to be doing any of this for. You have been funding a human being that you did not have to fund. So it's a big deal when it comes to men. And me personally, as a woman, I truly don't understand for the life of me why these men do not DNA their children. I do not get it. None of my kids have been DNA'd, none of them. None of their father has ever requested a DNA. But every last one of them can get on this show and tell you, I have asked them why they not DNA'd their children. Because I know what I did, so I don't have a problem. But I'm very mind-boggled why these men do not DNA their children. I don't understand it. And every last one said the same thing. Well, I know that's my baby. You don't know where I've been. You don't know what I did. I might have laid with that man for 10 minutes and changed my mind, and voila. Because it's just that simple. It happens just that simple. It happens just that quick. So don't say what you don't know what I did, baby. You want with me?
But you know, another aspect of it is the kids. We don't think about the kids because they don't stay babies forever, and they're going to grow up. And unfortunately, this situation actually touches very close to home. One of my bonus children just met her father, her biological father, last year for, I want to say the second time, but the first time he was introduced as a friend to her mom. Whole time that's her dad. And she is 15 years old, and she's just now being allowed to meet and have a relationship with her father. And stuff like that is not fair.
No.
I like that you all pinpointed the fact that it does not just affect the parents, those children, that affects them greatly. And like you say, they're not going to be babies forever. It could be simple like, oh, it's a baby. I could just say whoever the father is, but eventually that child is going to grow up and they're going to want to know who their real father is, what blood they have running inside of their bodies. All right.
Yep.
So thank you all for sharing. There are more benefits than challenges of being doing mandatory paternity testing. So like Trina said, fellas, don't worry about hurting nobody's feelings. Don't worry about what they say inside the hospital. Request that paternity test. You have a right to know.
Because a baby is a human life, and you will be attached to that human life for the rest of your life. So don't worry about her feelings. You need to worry about your life. Worry about your financial attachment to that human. Worry about your physical attachment to that human. You need to worry about you. Don't worry about her.
Right. And I agree with you, Trina. I also feel like this. A lot of the times, just speaking to, guys that I know, friends, family, men forget, fathers forget, y'all got rights too. Y'all act as if, oh, well, I can't take her to court because, that's a woman, that's a chick, that's it, man. I don't want to go through it. I don't want the people in my business. You all have rights. Utilize it, because some of these trifling women, oh, trust me, they're going to take you to the cleaners. They're going to take your mama to the cleaners. Any family member they want, they're going to take to the cleaners. And you still going to sit up there and say, oh, I ain't got no rights. And the child is being mistreated.
But you know what happens with that, Shaka? A lot of times they don't want to be bothered with the legwork of going to court and doing everything. And they don't want to do everything that it takes. But we're going to go down there and do that paperwork. We're going to go to the court. We're going to do it.
Every time.
Sometimes it takes a woman getting behind them saying, well, you need to do this and you need to do that. And then that creates another dynamic where the women end up upset with each other because it's not the man that's doing it. It's the woman that's pushing them to do it. So it ends up creating this whole big circus where men just need to stick up and stand up for themselves and say, this is my child. Yes, I have rights, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure I'm this child's father and I'm able to be there like I need to be.
And then there's also little things that men can also do because we only have so many different blood types. So sometimes it could be a simple case of just asking, what's your blood type? And seeing what is her blood type? Well, what's your child blood type? You should already know your own blood type, homeboy. If the math ain't mathing, you need to hurry up and get to a clinic, boo. Because we don't have so many different blood types. So it's sis A and baby B, and you O, the math ain't mathing, homeboy.
Wait, See, I don't even know all that science.
That's
So,
not
I
bad.
so
do.
wait,
Oh, I do.
You know the
I
science.
do.
And then you
'Cause I
also
got
need to stop letting people tell you that your children look like you. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because we're gonna be watching Mara. We're gonna be watching Mara for 10 years. And we're gonna be watching the TV. That man know that's his baby, and that baby is not that man's baby. So we're gonna see children that don't look like the parents, be the parent child. We're gonna see children that look like the man, don't be the man child. Don't go off looks, and don't let these people get on social media because I'm so sick of that. Y'all let people get on social media and tell y'all she look just like y'all. No, the hell they don't.
don't.
Start letting people on social media gas y'all up. Get a DNA test. They'll sit there and put your two kids together. Talking about them kids look just like, no, the hell they don't. They just got the same complexion. We ain't got but so many complexions, people. We ain't got but so many complexions. They be talking about I got the same nose. We ain't got but so many noses, people. So some of us gonna have the same nose, and we ain't never even met these people. Just because I got the same nose as Shaka, I don't even know her. I am not related to her. We just have to be two black women that got the same shaped nose.
The same nose.
What's up, cuz?
Stop with look. Does she look like? No, she don't. No, she don't. Anybody seen my kids? No, my kids don't look nothing like me. But I carried and birthed all four of them. They mine. They don't look nothing like me. Y'all didn't start doing that. DNA your children.
Oh Lord. We gotta give Trina some snaps for that one.
Okay. Cheers, girl.
Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all gonna see it on social media. They tell me look just like you. No, they don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh God. We have a question in the chat, ladies. It says, should married couples get DNA testing on their child? Should the wife get offered if the husband asks? What do you ladies think?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Why not?
No, I'm saying they should. They absolutely married couples should, and the wife should not get offended, nor the husband.
Absolutely. The marriage license didn't say nothing about the marriage license don't show up to the bedroom when sister lay down. It don't intercept nothing. So the same way us single women can get impregnated by other men, so can married women. We all the same. We all the same. It's just that she got some paper on you and we don't.
Correct.
Same process.
Correct.
Thinking about personally, probably in the beginning, the younger me. Well, I got married later in life, but I probably thinking ahead would have been younger me would have been offended because in that very moment, I'm thinking about like, okay, I would be thinking, we married, why are you asking me? But so initially, if Trevor asked me, I probably would be offended. I'm going to be honest. I would be offended. But then I would have to have that sit down conversation with him. Like, okay, why? And if he's able to express that why to me and knowing the trust relationship that we have, I would go ahead and do it. But honestly, I would be offended if in the very beginning he just asked me and I'm like, you know me, I'm your wife. Why would you? But I would go ahead and do that because I would want him to feel comfortable in that situation, you know.
And that's why I don't understand. That's why I don't understand why women get offended. Why are you upset if this man wants to DNA his child? Because to me, that will represent him willing to be there. He wants to know for sure because he wants to be there for his child.
There are some men out there who don't care.
I think the offense comes in because where's this doubt coming from?
Right.
Now,
right.
I live in the real world, so I understand that it's always a possibility. It doesn't matter, married, single. I get that the possibility of someone stepping out is always there, but I'm your wife. Right. Why would you ever want to question whether I've been with someone else? Like, why would you need to DNA our children? I probably would think that way, but again,
I think
being a mother of
hand in hand with why we be so eager to look at our babies soon as they're born. We've carried them, so yes, we're very excited to see, do they look like me? Do they look like daddy? Who they look like? What they look like? But it also plays a part in, I want to see when you pull them out because you won't do no switcheroo on me. I know what my baby look like. So when you take that baby to that NICU, don't bring me back no other baby because I know what the baby that look like came about me. So it's the same thing. We want assurance. With our kids, they need assurance with their children as well because they are not carrying kids. They me. I'm just real big on men wanting getting whatever they need to want to be the best father they can be. So if knowing that this is your blood child, that you created this with your sperm, your blood running through it, that's what you need to be an outstanding father, babe, I'm going to give you 3 tests because I need you to be the best you can be.
Yeah. I agree with that, but I still feel like it's just that doubt that makes us feel like, what are you trying to say exactly? Mm-hmm. Like, for example, for myself with my second son, we got pregnant quickly, his father and I. I want to say within months I was pregnant. And understandably, his mom, she never said it to me, but his mom had questions. Like, this girl just show up and now she's pregnant. I have questions. So when my son was born, she came to the hospital and she came to me and said, now I'm sure. I didn't know what she was talking about. But later it was explained, she saw that baby, and I know sometimes you can't look at a baby and tell, but sometimes you can. My child was born with his father's face. And she was like, okay, now I'm good. Now I know. And again, it's offensive on the surface. Like, what are you trying to say exactly? But when you're realistic, it is important to be sure that these men are not being trapped with children that don't belong to them for more reasons than just namesake. You know, it's a lot of reasons you need to be sure that this is your DNA. It's a lot of reasons that we shouldn't be offended. But
no, and Bridget, I can agree with the both of you, but I feel like depending where I was in life. So, like Nini said, younger me definitely would have felt some type of way. Definitely. Like, what you mean? I know the kind of woman I am, but at the same time, now that I've lived some life and I've got some experience, sure, how you want to do the DNA test? You want the blood? You want me to swab? How you want to do this? Like, I have no problems. I wouldn't even question it. But I just think it's maybe where you are in life, and then also with us women, we know how we are. Some of us don't want to take, the accountability either. And like we said earlier, that's another way of me getting over on this guy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm offended. How dare you want, you know what? Let's forget the whole relationship, knowing that I'm manipulating him now into saying, no, baby, don't worry about it. Knowing good and doggone well I was sleeping with, your homeboy down the street, around the corner cousin.
And that's usually the case. Usually,
right.
Backpedaling, getting so dramatic and so offensive about giving you some reassurance about a child that you're not carrying. It's
Correct.
9 out of 10 because she's not even 100% sure herself.
Correct. She going with the better choice.
You're a possibility, but she's not 100% sure that you are the one that actually hit the target on time. Mm-hmm. And that's why she's so offensive. That's why she's so angry about it. And it's gonna be my job to persuade you. And then y'all should know exactly where we coming from, because y'all do it when we catch y'all in lies. You could tell us you was at Walmart, and we'll tell you no because Candace saw you at Smitty's. You gonna lie.
She ain't see me. She ain't see me. I wasn't at no Smitty. She ain't see me.
Shots fired.
She ain't see me.
Because you want us to believe you, so we'll just backpedal and leave it alone. We'll just backpedal and leave it alone. Well, we play the same games with y'all. Don't get it twisted. The only difference is, don't ever forget that when it comes to women, men, we are always smarter than you. We have a lot of intelligence, and we can be very manipulative. So don't get it twisted. We always are smarter than you. So if you see us being real irate when it comes to these kids, and she's saying, "Oh, I'm gonna put you on child support," but don't never do. Let me tell you why you ain't going on child support, homeboy, and you don't take care of that baby. Because she don't even know it's yours. So she's not gonna take the risk of child support giving you a DNA test on the child she already know ain't yours. So she'll just take the $30 you throwing and keep on moving. That's
telling
a good
all the secrets.
That's a good
all the secrets.
No, you not
We got the secrets.
We got Mo. That's all game. We got Mo.
How the game go? Because I'm a boy mom, and I'm gonna tell y'all how the game go. If you know you're not doing right by that child, and homegirl ain't with no child support office, she don't know.
I see. Now, okay. Now that's not 100%. Because listen, With my first child, with my first son, his dad said he would rather be on child support because he didn't want to deal with me. No problem. Went down there and put him on. My last son, after dealing with the child support crap, my oldest son is 23 this year. After dealing with all the crap that I had to deal with through child support, I decided I'm not wasting my time going down to child support enforcement to put myself through all the court dates because he ain't coming. He's not coming to the court date at all. So it's just gonna be me and the magistrate.
They would have gave you order.
Huh?
They would have gave you a child support order. You never had to show up.
Oh yeah, they would have given it to me, but where they gonna get the money from? Because I'm still waiting on money from the first one. Where they gonna get it from?
We just gonna let it calculate up, and when they pull your ass over, go to jail, baby.
Listen, it's so much crap, especially, see, my situation is crazy. My first son's father is from Miami. So their court systems don't cross-reference is what they tell me, being a Broward resident and he's a Dade County resident. So he's never been arrested, and he owes almost $50,000 in arrears, and he's never once been arrested for child support. Now, my youngest son's father is a Broward County resident. He could very easily go to jail, and he wouldn't care. That's the thing. Like, that's his mindset. Like, okay, they're going to lock me up. You still ain't going to get no money. So why am I going to aggravate myself?
Just wash your hands, then.
That's why I just said, you know what? It's all right. I got
that don't
yeah.
You can't win with a brother that don't care.
Okay. You cannot win when they do not care.
That's the worst. Ooh, that's the worst. Girl, we're going to pray. We're praying for you.
Thank you.
You ladies mentioned talking about I think Shaka brought it up first about and Trina about men, they have rights, you know, is we don't have to leave it all up on the woman. And it was mentioned inside of the chat, like what are some of those rights that men have? Like we know as women, they usually leave it up to us whether or not we put them on child support or whether or not we do this. What are some of those rights that you feel that men have that they are not necessarily taking advantage of and may fall victim to, you know, raising a child or helping to take care of a child that's not theirs?
They have the exact same rights. I mean, I'm no lawyer. I don't know the dockets and all of the statutes and all of this stuff.
That disclaimer out there, we are not giving y'all legal advice.
Not at all. However, you have the same rights as the mother. Meaning, if I can get custody, you too can get custody. If I can want to up my child support and get child support, you too can collect child support or up your child support. The same way that we got a homegirl in our ear or our moms or whomever telling us, do what you need to do, this way you need to go, this who you need to contact, find you a friend, a family member, a public defense, a caseworker, somebody that know a little something about whatever, and you start go down to the courthouse yourself and say, hey, I'm not exactly sure. I just want to know how to go about you ask the same questions that we ask most men, YouTube and Google whatever. Just like us women, we'll YouTube and Google whatever. Do the same thing for your rights. I mean, it's different. I'm sure maybe county to county might be slightly different. I'm not sure, but I know in the state of Florida, it all pretty much works the same. So you have those rights, the same rights that a mom has, the dad has too.
They definitely do.
And to that,
with my first child, I went through that. With my first son, I actually went through that. We were young. We was 25 years old. So by the time we split up, we was, still under 30. And I just being immature for my first child, I would start playing the games. He ain't coming over there. Where my money? You can't pick him up. You ain't give me my money. Playing the baby mama drama games. And that grown man wasn't having it. My oldest son father wasn't having it. He went down to that courthouse. He filed paperwork to seek custody of his son. We had to go through multiple court hearings. And when it was all said and done and attorney fees later, and he was given his rights. I actually had to surrender my son to him every other weekend. There were certain holidays. There were certain school out, spring break situations. Mm-hmm. There was overnight visits that had to be done. There was a court order that was set in place to give that man the visitation with our son. So they definitely rights. The court, a lot of men tend to think that the court system only works in favor of the mother. That is not true.
It
They
does
are
not.
very ecstatic to see y'all fighting for y'all kids. So if you
Correct.
go down there and fight for the rights of your child, trust me, you will get them.
Okay. Thank you for adding that, because that was something that was mentioned in the chat, saying that we're acting like the courts are fair. All righty. And I like that you all kind of segue into that, because that's actually our next talking point, where we're going to be talking about establishing child support. So what do you all feel is the importance of establishing child support for the children's well-being?
I mean, as far as the state of Florida, it's mandatory. It's not up to if I want to put him on child support, or when he pisses me off, I might put him on child support. If you start that whole custody, rights, whatever it is that whether it's a divorce and you go through the courts, or you do a mediator, or however you do it, the father or the parent, whoever they, deem as primary custodial, is going to get child support from their partner, the other parent. That's just what it is. So it's not whether, now if the court has deemed it and you decide, we have a good rapport, or I know I ain't gonna get nothing anyway and I'm just sick of fighting with this man, then that's on you if you decide not to accept or take or whatever. But in the state of Florida, it's mandatory.
All right.
And I think that I think that everyone's situation is different. I have a child support case, and I do receive child support through the child support system. And that was a simple case of us. We communicated. We came to an agreement. He wasn't obliging by the agreement. So since he couldn't oblige by the agreement on his own, well, then I have to get some reinforcement. Since having the reinforcement, I get my money when I'm supposed to get it on time, because they pull it from his paycheck. Now, my twin's father, I don't have that situation. He's a different breed of man. He actually wants to take care of his kids, and he does voluntarily. So we also communicated. We communicated on an agreed amount. He gives me my agreed amount. I don't have to fuss about it. I don't have to fight about it. I don't have to hunt him down for it. He pays it every single month like clockwork, and there is absolutely no child support enforcement involved. He just happens to be a grown man about his kids, but he's that way with all his kids. So it really just comes down to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a child with an adult, or if you didn't have a child with an adult.
True.
All right. I see Mike in the chat. He said that he made sure that there is no custodial parent so that it can't be used against them. How does that work as far as establishing a custodial parent and not having a custodial parent?
Probably shared custody or something.
Yeah,
like
it's definitely shared custody, but it's more along the lines of who may have the child more of the time. So like in my instance with my ex-husband, because of the line of work that he does, he works a shift of 4 days on at the time and then 3 days off, where I was normally Monday through Friday. So so with our agreement, I think initially it was supposed to be every Wednesday and then every other week, or every other Wednesday and then every weekend. We decided that didn't work for us. So what we decided to do was on his days off, he would have her, and that switched every 2 months. And then, and no matter what they were. So if it was, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, he had her those days. If it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, he had her those days. So it just kind of worked for us. But because if you look at our initial schedules, I had her 60% more of the time than he did. So they made me primary custodial.
Okay. All righty. So there is a difference between having primary custodial and joint custody?
It's similar,
Absolutely.
but it depends on the type of joint custody. So it could be 50-50. It could be 60-40. It could be, 70-30. It just really,
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mike kind of explained what he meant as far as that. He says for him it's 50-50 down the middle, no custodial parent, no main address. She has no power that he doesn't have. Okay. And I think that is completely fair. All righty. Now let's talk about as far as the child support, what are some challenges have you all faced any challenges with establishing child support? I know Trina mentioned your twins fathers. You haven't had any challenges with him. That's correct, right?
Yeah, I haven't faced any challenges. I went down, I applied, I showed up, I get paid. I know it can be difficult probably for because everybody's situation is different. So if you're dealing with somebody who won't hold down a job, hiding from the system in various ways, then you probably, I'm sure you do have challenges. Mine go to work. They clock in, and long as they clocking in, I get paid. It gets direct deposited. I've never had a issue. My oldest two kids were actually through the child support system. I don't have any issues. Both of them, it get pulled out of paychecks. It was direct deposited. No issues. I don't do it with my last two because I say their father voluntarily pays. But no, I haven't had any issues. So I'm a child support advocate.
I've had a lot of issues.
You had a lot,
whole
Bridget.
So again, with my oldest son's father, being in two different counties was a big challenge. On top of the fact that I want to say this man has worked at a car wash for 23 years. So that's pretty much under the table. And no diss to people who wash cars, not at all. I'm just saying this car wash that he works at, child support enforcement has not been able to locate for almost 23 years.
It's the 23 years for me.
Right. It's the 23 for me.
Listen.
I
I
gave
gave
up
up
so
at one point.
nicely.
She's like, no disrespect, you know.
No, not at all. He still has the same phone number from when I met him. Okay, so he has no problem with commitment. But when it comes to paying that child support, Eric Wade Smith is gonna run. Okay. Okay, now that's him. That's one. My second set, their dad, he pays his child support. Now the problem is this is another issue that women have to take into consideration when you're choosing who you're having kids with. He has 7 children. My kids are numbers 3 and 4. So he's one person. One person can only spread their finances so far. So I get my child support from him, like you said, Trina, on time. He goes to work, it's direct deposited. But the amount is the issue. For 2 children, I get less than $300 a month for 2 children because his money has to spread between 7. That's another situation. My last baby, like I said, his dad is a Broward County resident. We don't even waste our time. We let him do whatever it is he's gonna do, and I do the rest. So if I call him and say Tristan needs, and he say, "Oh, let me see," don't worry about it. I got it. So those are just some of the challenges you have to deal with, and when it comes to accountability, I take it. I picked them. It's all on me. It's not like it was written across their faces at the time that I'm really not gonna do nothing, especially with my youngest son's father, because you know when they have children already, you look at the type of father that they are to the kids that they already have. He's a damn good father to his kids. But when it comes to money, you're not gonna make him have something he don't have, and he don't give a damn what you say about it. What you want me to do? Where I'm supposed to get it from? You know what he told me one day, and I couldn't do nothing but laugh. You ain't got it. Why you mad I don't got it and you don't got it? You're right.
Right. My bad. Well, so for me, I didn't have a problem with getting the child support. When we were going through our divorce, we decided to go through a mediator. So we didn't necessarily go in front of a judge. It was just like a mediator. And then we decided, whatever it was. So the amount of money that I got, I felt like was not a fair amount, but it's the state of Florida. And it was because we had to submit our financial records. So every strain of income that he gets, that I get, we have to put it on paper. Now here come the lies. The lies are there were things that I know that you got that's not on that paper, but I can't prove it. You understand? So I'm only going to get what their calculations are of that money. I got it on time. I got it every 2 weeks, and it was divided. One child one little girl. Totally, I think for the month it was like maybe $635. That's all I got. Now, most of you don't really know me like that, but you know, Nene, you know me. My child is expensive. Like, I'm not saying nobody else's kid is, but just to maintain a normal, whatever she's used to doing, lifestyle, which is not that extravagant because I'm frugal as fuck. But understand, it's like she did competitive cheer, and if anybody knows anybody that's in competitive cheer, we lived at the gym. Like, it was so bad that I couldn't even, you know, plan a girls' night out or to take a pee break. I had the coach of the gym calling me at my real job saying, hey, when you get in, I need you to do this. Okay. Yeah, when you get this message, call me. Okay, so I'm gonna hang up the job that pays you for me to call here. And then my ex-husband was good about paying the child support, but that was it. That's all you're gonna get. Like, I'm not going above or beyond. Oh, but if you can't handle it and it's too much for you, you know, I'll take full custody. It's not a problem, right? Exactly. So now I feel some type of way. I'm not saying he's not a great father. He's a great father, but his problem was paying me child support because in his mind, that should all go towards the child. Okay, cool. It does. But the child need to ride in my car. I have to be able to pay my car note. I still have to be able to put gas in that car to drive her to and from whatever activities or school events that she may have, on top of going to the grocery store, buying food, hair, nails, as she got older, makeup, prom, this, that. Like, come on. Anything extra she wanted to do with her friends, going out of town. Like, I could
definitely relate.
Right. So I could go on and on. So was he a great father? Absolutely. Did he provide for his child? Absolutely. But then here's the manipulation from the man. Oh, if it's too much for you, you can't handle it, I'll take full custody. Or you want to tell me how I need to be spending the child support.
Not willing to do anything outside of what the court
in
has
that box.
stipulated. That's the crazy part. I had that with my oldest son. And what was crazy about it is my three younger ones, their dad will pay what they're supposed to pay every month and still do other things. They still buy clothes. They still buy shoes. They don't come to me anytime they need to purchase anything for their kids. They give me what they're supposed to give me, and anything they want to do, they just do it. And they are the broker too, out of all my baby daddies. My first child's father, he's the richest one out of all of them. Not only is he the richest one, he's the only one that ain't have but 2 kids. The rest of them have 5 to 7. But he was the one who never gave not a nickel over what that court people told him to get paid. Whatever he had to pay in child support, that's all he paid. He did not pay 1 nickel over. He did not have no extra kids. My child was his only child for probably like 13 years. My son was his only child for about 13 years. He grossed buku money, and he did not pay $1 over what he was court ordered to pay. But I got these men who got 5 to 7 kids, living check to check, and they do not come to me. If they see some shoes they want them kids to have, my children just come home, and because that's a whole nother thing. They just come home with them. Whatever they buy, they send it home with them. My oldest son, the rich one, wouldn't spend $1, and anything he did purchase, it couldn't leave his house. I said it's just crazy. Right. So when you say things, when they say things to women like, "Oh, but you chose him," well, who did we really choose? Because you could think the person's gonna behave one way. I thought he had no kids. He had a career, a very high-paying career. He seemed like a great guy. He paid bills, but when we had a child, he was stingy as shit. Then I got this one over here. I met him. He already got kids. He checked the check. Excellent father. Ain't asking me for shit. So you really don't know what you're getting into. You have no clue. So I hate that comment when they say, you know, well, women, you a single mom because you picked him. Bitch, we didn't. Technically, we did not. Right. Or this comment right here. Did she freeze? Trina? Oh, I'm sorry, not to cut you off. Or this comment right here. Well, make him do it. How you make a grown man? How? What they sell that at Amazon? Because I'm still trying to figure out how to make a grown man do something.
I love that one. Like, what you mean? He said no. What you mean? He said it? He does. He said he doesn't have it. What? You better tell him he better. I'm sorry. I haven't figured out how to do that one yet.
Okay.
I spend
All right,
my
Mike.
energy on my kids. I don't have time for fighting, arm wrestling nobody like an alligator to get $17 for a field trip. I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna
Bridget said,
figure it
I'm
out.
not no gator wrestler.
Mhm.
No.
Mike says that he would love to see how you or we women would sound if we would sound the same if the dad had custody and was calling you. So if your baby's father had custody and was calling you, would you still feel the same way? Go ahead, Shaka.
If we didn't have it, go ahead,
Right.
Shaka.
That was kind of my question too. I need him to elaborate. If we didn't have it, or if we got like what, I'm not sure what he's asking, but I will say this. I dated a guy who had custody of his child, and the mother did whatever she could whenever she could. I guess she was from I get Lauderdale too, where Bridget, they must be related or something, because
Probably.
whatever she could do, they accepted. And to me, as a mother, or the type of mother that I am, it bothered me. You understand? Like, it really bothered me. Like, I don't understand how you're not present for like key moments of, this child's life. It bothered me. But this man never really asked this woman for much. He did not put her on child support, even though it was, court ordered. He never accepted the payment. Every now and again, she'll do a little something, and he was just grateful that she did a little something. But that's all that it was. So, in that instance, again, Mike, some women are just trifling like that. But for me, if my ex-husband had custody of my daughter and he asked me for whatever, I'm going to give him whatever. I'm going to go above and beyond, because that's still my child. Regardless of why he may have custody and I don't, it doesn't matter. That's still my blood. That's my responsibility. So as a woman, I'm going to step up and do what I got to do. Period.
So, and then also, I think it would be different, because they more than likely wouldn't have to ask us for things.
Correct.
Because we know what they need. And that's generally my comment to my son's father. Why do I have to tell you he doesn't wear the same size shoe? Why do I have to tell you he's outgrown the pants that you bought 8 months ago? He's growing. He eats
Right.
every day, all day.
Right.
These things. So why not just say, I'm gonna come get him. You don't have to ever put money in my hand. And I stress that. You do not ever have to put money in my hand. Come get him. Take him to the store. Purchase whatever it is you want to purchase.
Right.
I don't care how you do it, as long as he
It gets done.
But people decide to do and not do whatever it is they want to do. And then you have people like my fiance, who goes above and beyond for their children, financially showing up, like physically being there and doing things. And then it's like, it's the reverse side of the coin that we don't talk about much, when it's never enough. You know what I mean? And it's not just the financial aspect that's being looked at. It should be everything when it comes to the father. Are they showing up for them? Are they providing for them? Are you able to call on them when you need them for things? Is the child cutting up and you need them to step in? Are they available for all those types of things as well? And a lot of us don't have that type of support. So
True.
I think it's co-parenting is so much more than just finances.
Oh, absolutely. Because you also have.
I think to also respond to him where he say if the shoe was on, because basically what he said is if the shoe was on the other foot, how would y'all respond? It works the same as with the fathers. Some mothers are just trifling. There are trifling mothers, just like there are trifling fathers. The difference with it is that even though there are trifling mothers and trifling fathers, those of us who are being parents, there is a difference when it comes to a mother and a father on the good foot, though, because you do have dads who do all that they can do. Like she said, if he ain't got it, he can't give it, unfortunately. But see, the difference with us mothers is that those of us who are actually being parents, you will not get that response out of us. We are not, when it comes to us women, we are not, I can't give you what I ain't got. Because women, we just move different. We just move different, especially in motherhood department. Baby, we will turn water into Kool-Aid. We will turn peanut butter into ham. We will turn a banana into some bread for the sandwich that we just turned the peanut butter in the ham for. We just do shit like that. So we're a different breed when it comes to actual mothers, and we're not talking about the trifling mothers because we do have mother department, but in the actual parenting mother department, you would never get a response of "I can't give you what I ain't got," baby. I always got it. I'm gonna figure it out.
Right.
I feel like I live check to check. I ain't never balling. So if anybody asks me, I'm check to check. I'm always a PYHO, as far as I'm concerned. But when you look at my children, you cannot tell that. You can't tell it involving nothing with my kids. You can't tell it from the top to your 10. You can't tell it from the way he went to prom. You can't tell it, period. But at the end of the day, I feel like when I walk in a store such as Walmart, I have to look at the price. I can't just walk in Walmart and grab stuff just because I want it. I have to look at the price. I still have to budget. But when it comes to my kids, baby, there is no, we just do. It's a different breed. So when you actually ask a question that pretty much say if the shoe was on the other foot, there's no such when it comes to a black woman. It just don't exist, baby. We different. We move different. The cut is not cut the same. It's just not.
And there you have it, the answer to your question, Mike. So Mike says he has to check out. Thank you for tuning in, Mike. You can catch the replay to catch the rest of the conversation. I start some comments so that I don't forget to show them up on the screen. So Shaka kind of answered one of them. Trevor had already asked this question, but I was saving it for later. His $1 million question is, can you spend the child support on yourself? So what do you ladies think about that? Because I know I hear that a lot about why should I be giving you child support when you're spending it on yourself? And that on yourself could be your car note. It could be groceries, but because you're not physically, let me buy my child a pair of shoes or let me buy my child this, you're spending it on something that you're benefiting from too, because you're taking care of that child. So what do you ladies think about that?
Like, even if, let's say, of the $300 that I get in child support from my children,
it's not funny, but oh my God.
Let's just say that I don't spend every single dollar of that money on them, and I actually buy myself a spicy chicken sandwich.
No.
Let's just say I do that. You have to take into consideration that for the entire rest of the month, everything that they get comes from me. So you can consider that $7 that I just spent out of the $300 a reimbursement, if we want to count every dollar and where it goes.
Right.
But I mean, realistically, in a perfect world, child support is spent on the child. But we have to also be fair when it comes to a custodial parent. There is no 50-50. There is no fair when it comes to the spending, because the custodial parent will always spend more on the child.
And what they also need to take into consideration, what they're not understanding, is they pay a set amount every month. So we're going to use, for example, them little tiny $300 that she do get. Here's the issue. She might have got $300 in January, and she may have only needed $200 to fund the children that month. But February may not be the same, because there are things they needed in February they might have didn't need in January. So in February, if you gave the same $300, but see, February cost her $500, and then March you gave her another $300, but March ran her $700. Every month is different. We're not buying the same exact things every single month. We're not buying shoes every single month. Well, most of us ain't. We're not buying shoes every single month. So just because your amount is $300 consecutive every single month, every month costs us different. One month might have ran me those $300. Another month might have only ran me $100. But then I got ran into another month that ran me $800. So you have to tally that up. By the time you tally up what you paid for the year, I can promise you, we paid at least $10,000 more than you gave us. Absolutely. I can promise you that.
Absolutely.
I love that response. And I think that that's something that they may not think about as well. Like you said, I like you brought that up, Trina, where they're paying the set amount every month, but what you're spending and what that child needs every month is going to fluctuate. All right. So a follow-up question to that was, should the amount be renegotiated on a yearly basis?
Yes.
It can be if you want to go through it,
Could be.
but
Yes.
It could be.
Yes.
I can't.
So would that be like going through the whole process
Yes.
all over again,
Yes.
depending on whatever they're
Absolutely.
making? Because you know
It
their
definitely would
finances,
be.
their income could increase every year.
Yep. And you know what? And that's
And
exactly why I
because
haven't
of
bothered
that, that's the
going.
reason why they don't do it.
That's why I haven't been for a modification for myself, because I don't know for sure if his income, I believe his income has increased, but mine has increased also. So I'm figuring, you know what, you're gonna go and take them 273 and you're gonna shut up, because you might go to court and end up getting less because your income has gone up. So we're gonna go ahead and
Especially
take that.
when the kids have gotten older.
Exactly. So we use
And the
that
kids
as
have gotten
chore
older.
money. That's chore money. You do your
Yep.
chores, you
Yep.
get your daddy child support.
Yep.
That's how we play with them little 300. We gonna leave that be. But I don't want to shoot myself in the foot and go to court and say let's do a modification and end up with less, because and you know what also happens, and I know that my child's father wouldn't do this, but my oldest son did this as well. When we were talking about the way that they come up with the amounts, he brought so many receipts to court for things that my child has never seen, and those things were counted towards what he was expected to pay. So you can come to court and say, oh, here's my receipt, I bought all these clothes and all these shoes and all this stuff, and depending on your magistrate, they might say, okay, let's tally that up and let's deduct that from the arrears that we're going to say that he owes at the time. And it's not fair, because it's not stuff that the child is actually getting. Or
Right.
you know, you can say you're paying this and you're doing this and you don't have this money, you don't have that, when actually you've been working under the table and doing different things and you have the money. It's just, if they can't prove it, if they don't see it, they don't have it, and they can't make them pay it.
Yeah, I didn't want to deal with the headache of going back to get it, up or whatever. I wasn't afraid that I wasn't going to get, I wasn't afraid that I was going to get less. I just didn't want the headache of it. And then on top of that, then you have to do the back and forth and the banter with him. And then the child is now involved. Now she's upset. Or, I mean, because it got to the point where I think at one point, I think she was maybe around 12 or something. And he made a comment, my ex-husband made a comment along the lines of, well, like my daughter asked for something. They were at the mall. And he was like, well, mommy get that child support check, so you should tell her to buy it for you. So now I got to go off on you, because she getting flip at the lip, but not knowing why she getting flip at the lip. So I done went off on her, and I got to go off on you. Now it's a whole issue unnecessarily, and I'm going to take you back to court, and I am going to do this, and we are going. And you know what? I don't really want to do it. I don't even want to deal with it. It ain't even worth it. Let me just take these little $635 a month and make it, like you said, do what it do. Because it's not worth the headache for me.
Mm-hmm.
I like Trevor's question.
Yes. Would you guys give up custody if the man was more financially stable?
I think that's where another conflict comes in. Men tend to think that it's just a simple fix of, well, I make more money than you, so you give me the child. Parenting is so much bigger than the finances. It is so much bigger than that. You cannot do what we do. You just can't, homeboys.
Not alone.
The nurturing, the guidance, the whole process of a mother, of having a mother, it just doesn't compare. You cannot do what we do. It's little things that go on behind the scene y'all have no clue about. I literally just said that to my twin's dad like a week ago. I asked him, do you think that our son's nails just stay nicely manicured? Motherfucker, I cut them nails. I clip their nails on a regular basis. Your kids don't just come nicely manicured on a regular basis. It's little things that we do that they have no clue about.
It wouldn't cross their minds to even do.
The waking up in the middle of the night when they can't sleep, or they saying stupid shit like, I want some juice, or they don't feel good. It's just so much to parenting that it's so much to it that we honestly don't even have the strength. We don't even have to tell you. every single little thing that we do with these kids. Now, for somebody like Trevor, who is still inside of the household, he gets to actually witness a lot of things that is being done with his daughter because he's still inside the household. But Trevor, I want you to know this, and I'm gonna tell you this: with your wife on the line, even with you in the household, I can promise you, she do things with your daughter to maintain her and to guide her and to mold her that you still don't even damn know that she doing.
You don't even know.
And you right there. You don't even see it happening because we just that damn smooth. You don't even see it going down. You don't even see it. You live right there with your daughter. You watch her every day, and it is still things that is going on with the raising of your daughter that you ain't even noticing happening.
Facts.
So to answer your question, if you are if the father is more financially sued, will we just give the child to the father? Hell no.
Nope.
Y'all can't do what we do.
You can't have my kids. I'm sorry.
At all. At all.
They won't turn out the same. They will not turn out the same.
They won't.
Mm-hmm. That's a big part of the reason I pray that God keeps me here so that I can see my kids grow up and become adults, because Lord forbid if I leave here, my kids have to go with their dads.
Well, I will say this. I agree. I want to be here as long as I possibly can, because even watching her bloom into this beautiful 23-year-old that she's becoming, I literally take a step back and I'm like, dang, I did that. Not saying I did it by myself, but I had a lot of influence on there. But if I were to leave this earth today and she did have to go with her father, even though she's 23, but I still pay for her because she's in college and all of this stuff. The thing is, thank God for his wife. Oh, don't get it twisted. He has remarried, but I love that woman. That woman and I, we talk, we connect, we understand. If my daughter go through something and her daughter was 2 years older, and I would say, hey, this is what we learned today, so they might want to talk about it. Like, I know that my child will be okay with her father only because he has his current wife, and I know she got her back. So I would be grateful for that.
That is extremely
important. I can honestly say, because I have my kids range in age. So I have a son that just turned 19 yesterday, who's a college student. Now he's doing great because I'm still here and I'm living and breathing, and so I have been able to raise and mold him into greatness. And anybody who knows my son Jordan, they know he's very respectable. He's a very respectable child. He's a great kid. He is actually Mr. Freshman of Bethune-Cookman University, and that is all. And ain't nobody gonna tell me no different. That is all due to me. And so when it does come to my other kids, what I will say is that with all my kids, they all have good fathers. So I definitely want to be here to see them turn into men that have kids and families of their own, because I would love nothing more than to meet my grandkids. But if God should perish me tomorrow, my kids are all right. My kids are all right with their dad, because none of them have bad fathers. They are not bad fathers. They just ain't me. But they are not bad fathers. My kids will turn out okay. They ain't gonna be as great as Jordan. Because but they're gonna be all right.
That's what I'm saying. They're not, it's not that they're bad. I'm not gonna say they have bad fathers. Their dads aren't involved enough to know them like they need to raise them like they need to raise them. You understand? That would be my issue. So, for instance, my youngest son has asthma. His father smokes. That's not going to work. You can't have my baby. I don't even like sending my son with him, because even if you're not currently smoking, you smoke in your car. Your clothes smell like smoke, anything. And my son will tell you in a minute, Mommy, my chest was burning. Don't worry about it. You're not going. It's going to be real quick. You're just going to stand outside for a minute. You don't even have to get in the car. I would not, like, God know. That's why I'm here, because God knows, like, she ain't gonna rest. I ain't even gonna take her, because she's not gonna rest. That's why I'm still here.
So let me keep you here so you can rest on earth.
Yes, so you can take care of these babies and raise them up. We got one out. My second will be 18 in December, but I agree that you do not take your hands off when they turn 18, because
No,
I'm still on my 23-year-old. Like, I
same.
want him to apply for a better job. Like, he works and he lives on his own, him and his girlfriend, and he maintains his household. He definitely does. He's doing great. However, you can do more. You know what I mean? I try to make sure he understands. Don't just be content. Like, you don't take your hands off. You never take your hands off. I don't care how old they are.
I like that. You ladies kind of, and I love how the conversation flows, because you always say something that leads me right to our next point. So now we're gonna jump on this, the healthy and unhealthy co-parenting dynamics. Some of you talked about how your co-parent is now in new relationships, whether it's girlfriend or marriage. So let's talk about some of the first, the characteristics of a healthy and unhealthy co-parenting dynamics. So what are some characteristics of a healthy co-parenting dynamics and unhealthy co-parenting dynamics?
Respect.
For me, right, and communication.
Mm-hmm. And
All right,
understanding.
respect and communication.
Yes. Compromise.
Communication is definitely beneficial and healthy. It helps a lot. But if there is no respect there, all the communicating in the world can't help us.
Mm-hmm.
If the relationship or the dynamics of the relationship has disrespectful sides to it, there's just nothing there's nothing we can do.
It's so much. It's so much, especially, you know, it definitely makes the situation more difficult when you have multiple fathers in the situation, and when those fathers move on and they're in new situations, their relationships do play a part sometimes in how they parent, depending on the type of men that they are. It can definitely play a part, because you're not usually just co-parenting with that father. You're also now co-parenting with the person who they've chosen to also be around your child.
Yep.
I've had positive and negative. I'm so grateful that my fiance's ex-wife is an awesome mother. She and I get along very well. She calls me for stuff half the time when it comes to them, because we just have a system when it comes to the kids. We just take care of it. If it's something that he needs to show up for, or something that they need that she knows I'll know where to get it from, she'll just call me. It makes it so much easier. But my my middle two kids, it's hard. It's hard. And you know what? I check myself a lot when it comes to this, and I'm okay with saying this, because sometimes I'll say, the woman that I am, the mother that I am, I would love for my children's father's wife to be, but that's not the case. So, and I say that to say, if you know you haven't seen your kids in 6 months, why are you okay with him not coming to pick these kids up? And then I check myself and I say, those are his kids. That is his responsibility. She is not his mother. She is not their mother. She does not have to make him come and get those children.
Mm-hmm.
But it just wouldn't sit right with me when it comes to that.
That wouldn't sit right with me. No, that wouldn't sit right with me, because
I
even
mean,
though those are his kids and he's an adult, what kind of woman just sit back and be in a relationship with a man who ain't seeing his kids?
I don't know.
Them
but again, it's on him. Those are his kids. He knows he knows these kids. And
at the end of the day, they are his kids, but someone sit well with me.
Yeah, it doesn't. And that's one of those things. That's one of those situations, one of those dynamics that you have to say, you know what? And I decided years ago, I learned with my first son, I used to cry all the time. Like, why doesn't his dad want to be more involved? Why doesn't he, want to see him take his first steps and do things? And it had nothing to do with me, because I'm not interfering. Like, I've never been you can't see him. I've never been that parent. But I learned when I had my other children, my energy is better utilized on them. So when there would be things that I wanted them to do that they weren't doing, I would do it. No, I'm not their dad. No, I can never be their dad. But love is love. Attention is attention. And when kids are young, we only have so much time with them to get that love inside of them and make sure that we give them that inner voice that they're going to revert back to when certain situations come up and stuff. So am I going to waste this time fighting to try to get your dad to come get you and try to get your dad to realize what he's missing out on? Or am I going to give you everything that I have and hope he catches up? That's what I had to decide to do.
So for me, I actually dated a guy who had 4 children and 3 different baby mamas. So he was active in his kid's life, not financially, but he was the fun dad. He was the dad that would pick them up maybe once a month and we go do all these extravagant things with the kid and then take them back, to mom. So he was always fun, but he wasn't there for these children. And one of his kids was actually autistic. So when we got together, it didn't sit right with me that you're here with me, helping me raise my child, co-parenting with me, but you have 4 kids out there that you're not even a part of, that you don't really do much with. So I made it my business that if I had my daughter on those days, let's say if I had her on the weekend and my ex-husband's schedule allowed me to have her Friday, Saturday, Sunday, for 2 months straight, we're going to get his kids. So go ahead and reach out to, your ex-wife, your first one. I'll reach out to the second one. Hey, we want to take the kids this weekend, because it didn't sit right with me that I have this man that's supposed to have this amazing effect on my daughter, being this positive role model, but you ain't doing nothing with your children. So as a woman, I couldn't stand by it. It didn't work for me. I mean, it may work for some people. It just didn't work for me.
It works for some of them, unfortunately.
And that goes back to like what Bridget said, like hoping that your co-parents, the other woman, is the type of mother that you are. I have this comment, I've been saving it for a while, and it fits perfectly here with do you expect the new man to take care of the child in addition to their dad? So if you are in a new relationship or enter a new relationship, do you expect them to help take care of your child in addition to the dad taking care of them?
That's right. That's touching. That's like,
it's a little tricky. Yeah.
I do physically. I expect you to fill in where his dad falls short. So if he need a ride to football practice and his dad can't take him, then I expect you to you need to fall in where his dad is falling short. That's what a relationship is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
We
it's
filling
not so
in
much like taking care of them, but we're together, especially like in my situation, my fiance and I, between the two of us, we have 9 children. Yes, my oldest is out of the house and everything, but if there's some things that clearly my kids' dads aren't doing, yes, I want you to teach them certain things and tell them certain things and take them certain places. It's not gonna become a situation where I'm going to make you feel like you're less than for not doing, because at the end of the day, yes, this is their father's responsibility. However, you are the father figure in this household. So yes, that holds certain responsibilities with you being here.
I mean, I just feel like it really depends on the dynamics of your relationship. And it also, again, you communicate these things, because like I said, I'm not the kind of woman that's going to sit around and I think there was a whole thing that happened on social media or something not too long ago, like a year or so ago, where the one dad brought the McDonald's for his child and didn't give, the other kids the McDonald's, this whole back and forth or whatever. I mean, I just feel like it depends on your relationship, but these are the things that you communicate, when you're dating, you talk about these things. So like that one particular ex, he has 4 children, right? And I have the one. So together, yes, we have 5. And they were all around the same age, but not quite. So what does that mean? That means that I should take out, whatever money of my bank account and pay for his 5 children. Oh, that's not fair. That ain't cool. But if the tables were reversed, they would feel like if I had the 4 children and he had the one, I'm expecting him to pay for my 4 kids. So I just feel like it's a communication thing. You talk about it. You say, this is what it's going to be. I've also talked to a homeboy of mine recently, and he was telling me that he actually called it quits with a girl that he was talking to, because for her son's birthday, he brought, a bunch of, stuff for the kid's birthday because they're dating and, they're together. But then when his son's birthday came around a few months later, she just said, "Oh, happy birthday."
That's not cool.
Right. But did y'all communicate that?
She didn't give the baby a gift.
Say it again.
Now, it's totally different. It's totally different if she had asked him, "Hey, could you buy my baby a gift?" And now it's his child's birthday party and she's not reciprocating the favor. But if she didn't ask you to get her child a gift, that was something you were supposed to have been doing out the kindness of your heart. I didn't ask you to do that now because I have that situation where when my sons have a birthday, my twins' dad will bring them a gift. He would either bring them something or he would give them money. But I don't reciprocate the same thing with his kids. I rarely ever even see his kids. So
but are you in a relationship?
Are y'all together though?
No,
okay,
we are
so
not.
Right.
Yeah, that's different.
No.
That's different.
So no, I understand what you're saying, Trina. But what I was saying was they were actually together in a relationship, like they're dating each other.
I didn't ask you to buy my child no gift. I have never. I was with him for years, and I still sleep with him. But I don't walk around here purchasing his children birthday gifts. I got 4 kids of my own. So if that's what you want to do for my kids because of the relationship that you share with them, it's not because I asked you to do anything. You are buying them gifts because you have your own personal relationship with my kids. And so therefore, that's something you want them to know that you are doing for them. I don't have that same relationship with his kids. So no. I don't even know when his kid's birthday is. I don't have that relationship with his kids. And the reason being is because we had 2 different dynamics. On my end, he got along very well with my other kids' fathers because my other kids' fathers moved like grown-ass men. So when I was in a relationship with him, they were introduced, and every single time they saw each other from when we was together up until today, they speak, they shake hands, they talk to each other about the sharing of the kids. You will literally hear my 11-year-old's father, if he can't pick him up from school, you will literally hear him say, "Can you see if your twins' daddy, if Travis can pick them up?" It's the dynamic over here because I'm raising kings. I don't do drama. I don't do mess. I don't do drama. So when I move to the next relationship, everybody has to act accordingly because I don't do the mess with my kids. You're going to move accordingly over here. These are kings over here. And everybody, we're going to raise these children together in unity. See, everybody don't move that way. So he was able to establish a bond with my kids because he was able to establish a bond with their fathers. He respect their fathers and their fathers respect him. So it's a little dynamic, a little unity thing going on over here. See, I don't have that with his kids because his baby mamas are messy. So I never formed a relationship with his kids because it was always drama. I don't want that bitch around my kids. And see, I don't do that ghetto mess. I don't do that ghetto drama. But see, that's the baby mamas he got. So since I never got along with your baby mamas, I never formed a bond with your kids. Hell, I can count on one hand how many times I probably see your kids all year because it was never, because your side don't move that way. He's never been able to grasp it together in unity. He's never been able to get the baby mamas to grasp together and raise his kids in unity. That's not my problem. Because I handle mine. You couldn't handle yours. And a lot of it steered from just the type of women that he had kids with, immature and messy. And then you had to add in the fact that to this day, he go back and forth between me and one of the baby mamas. It's always something. So we get along now. I like her. She don't like me. We on site. Every time we run into each other, it ain't gonna never work. She be yelling, I don't want. We just went to Disney World. My kids turned 6 2 weeks ago. We went to Disney World with their daddy, and she wouldn't let her daughter come. She don't want her around me. I don't know why you didn't let her. I honestly don't know why she didn't allow the baby to enjoy Disney. because I be around her. It's just
How
you
old is
telling
she?
him,
How old is the
you
baby?
telling him I don't want her around my baby. I be
How old is
around
the
her.
baby?
Let that baby go to Disney World.
12 years old.
See, my thing is this, like, and I hate situations like that. I hate stuff where the
Let me tell
mom
you why it's
are
so
fighting.
it's so ignorant, because the child missed out on being able to not just go to Disney, but have a bonding and memorial moment with not only her little brothers but her father. And you chose to not let her go because you don't want her around me. Let me tell you, that makes no sense, because she be around me.
Feel like you're gonna
She be in
harm
the car
her?
with me.
Does she think you're gonna hurt her some kind of way or something, or she just silly?
You can't think I'm a hurter because she be around me. She ain't been hurt yet. You just don't know she's around me. Because and that's where the extra confusion come in at. Because this is not a 2-year-old child. This is a teenager middle school. And so all of it is mind-boggling for me, because I can't understand for the life of me. This young, she don't tell you she see me. She don't tell you she be around me. She ain't even telling you. So you're under the impression that your daughter is never around me. She don't tell you, oh, Trina was in the car, or Trina, my daddy took me. She's not telling you, but she be around me. But because you think she don't, you want to stick to the, I don't want the bitch around my baby. Well, the bitch be around your baby. So the bitch always be around your baby.
I had a similar situation with my middle kid's dad. His first wife, when I tell you, she and I, we wanted to kill each other, because for a while we were sharing them, and we didn't know for a little bit, but then when you find out, it almost becomes a competition, like who gonna have them the most, or who gonna end up with them. That's the game that we ended up playing with each other. So I had my daughter, and like I said, I've never been the I'm gonna keep my kids from you. My daughter was 6 weeks old, and prior to me having my daughter, she told me, keep talking shit. I'll make him not come to the hospital when you had that baby, and I'll do this and I'll do that, and like all kind of crazy stuff, right? So I have my baby, and now my daughter is, she passes her 6 weeks, and it's time for them to get her, because now he's with her. Now it's time for y'all to take my baby. I decided it's time for me and her to have a conversation, because what I'm not going to do is be uneasy about sending my child with somebody who hates me, because if there's a hair out of place on my baby, Miami finna burn, all of it. So she and I had to have a conversation where we understand, you can not like me all you want to. Don't touch my baby, because I'm not going to keep my baby from her dad, and I'm not going to be stupid enough to think that he's going to handle her all by himself. I know she's going to be around you. Just don't play with my baby. And she was like, oh, no, I would never do that. I would never do. And we never had an issue. But I said that to say, it's hard when the women don't get along. The children end up suffering because the dads want to play the type of games where, like you said, he's bouncing back and forth between y'all, and it just creates a unnecessary, unhealthy dynamic between the moms, and the kids miss out.
Yeah.
Well, my kids don't listen, because I don't move that way. She can yell, I don't want the bitch around kids all day. I don't play them games. Mine going to your household, because mama deserve a break too. And not only do I deserve a break, but it's time. They gonna know they daddy. They gonna have a relationship with their daddy. They gonna bond with their daddy. So wherever the fuck their daddy at, that's where the hell they going. So if he at your household, then they come into your house. I don't move that way. Mine going wherever they daddy going. I don't give a damn who the hoe is. If you with him, the kids coming to your shit. So I don't. My kids don't miss out on anything. Yeah, I don't do all that right there. I don't play them kind of games. Mine go wherever they daddy going. So if you're messing with the twins' daddy, you gonna be having the twins, because the twins go where they daddy go. I don't give two fucks who the hoe is, and I'm not concerned about nobody doing nothing to them twins, because anybody know me? No, you don't want to touch shit on the churn there, because no, I don't. I be smiling mug shots. This ain't what you want. I ain't concerned at all. They went to the whole house. They gonna if he's spending the night, they spend the night.
That part.
I don't move like that. I don't move like that. I don't play like that. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with her, but I don't move like that. And me and him, we have a great co-parenting situation because even though he dibbling down, the dibbling down is what ruined the relationship. But the dibbling down don't ruin the co-parenting ship because I don't give two fucks. Like I said, we just went to Disney World. We had an awesome time. We had a great time. We have an amazing co-parenting relationship. We get along great. We're the best of friends. That's her problem. See, you have to, as a grown woman, you have to eventually become a grown woman. And you have to understand the position that you have placed yourself in. You are dealing with a man who does not want to be faithful. I don't know if it's that he don't want to or if he's incapable. But the whole point is he's not faithful. So if you're going to sit back and you still got your emotions hanging on a man like that coattail, I don't know what to tell you, baby. Your child missing out. Mine ain't missing out on shit because my feelings ain't riding on his coattail. So that's why it doesn't bother me for her to be around the twins. Bitch, wherever he go, they go. No emotions involved. And if he come over here and I want to let him spend the night, that's what I'm going to do because there are no emotions involved. You got to get out your feelings. Women got to get out their feelings with children involved, not your feelings.
Oh, Lord. I love it. Go ahead, Shaka.
What I was gonna say is, I do have a great co-parenting relationship with my ex-husband and his wife now. Now, it didn't happen that way because it took us a while to get divorced because we just couldn't agree on things. Like I'm talking 3.5 years of not being able to agree. But once we got over that hump and we were like, you know what, let's just sign the papers, right? Finally, papers are signed, we're good. So because my daughter has always been active in something, trust and believe, daddy was there, stepmom was there, stepsister was there, half sister was there, mama was there, whoever mama was dating at the time was there, stepbrother, stepsister, dog, cat, whoever. We were all there. We sat together on the same row. Sometimes we had matching shirts. Sometimes we were at these tournaments or graduations or whatever. And we, hey girl, hey. And the guys are sitting there. So my ex-husband and my ex-fiance, they're sitting there, they're having conversations. And I would get parents, male and female, tap me on the shoulder. How you do that? I said, do what? How you get them to play so nicely? I said, because we grown over here. Any of my exes or any of my, guys that I could currently be in relationships with right now, if my ex-husband was to call me 2, 3 in the morning, there ain't gonna be no argument. Ain't gonna be no, why he calling you? Why did it? Ain't none of that because we grown. They know that if he is calling me, it is about my child and vice versa. If I have an issue and something happens with my daughter and I don't care what time it is, I can call my ex-husband. If he don't answer, I can call his wife. I can call their house. To this day, right now, I could go over there, knock on their door, and she open the door and welcome me in with open arms and vice versa here. That goes for her family, meaning her mother, her sisters. I see them in the street. We hug like we are because we grown. We not on that childish, oh, you doing this and you doing that. Now to each his own, do what you do. But I'm just saying for me and mine, we real grown over here. Like we don't play none of those games at all.
And I can say that about my first 2 baby daddies because they actually are in relationships with grown ass women. So my 19-year-old's dad, he's married. Awesome lady. She actually called one time to ask if she could take my son on the tri-rail and took my 11-year-old son with her.
Oh wow.
Awesome lady, really cool. She's the mother of my son's little brother, and she's a great woman. When we do run into each other, we greet each other with a hug. I have nothing but respect for her. She has nothing but respect for me, and therefore it's perfect harmony. With my 11-year-old's dad, he has a girlfriend. He's not married, but he is in a relationship. Jay is a wonderful person. Hell, but most of the time, Jay picked my son up. He don't even be his daddy. Usually, when my son, when he called for the week, because he goes there every weekend, my son go to his daddy's house. So when Friday come around and he be like, they on the way to pick me up, usually it be Jay. It's very rare that his dad is actually outside in the car. It usually be the girlfriend. It be sometimes when I drop him off to the girlfriend's house because the girlfriend and the dad, they live in two different residences. Sometimes I take him to his daddy's house. Sometimes his dad, actually, because she has a son that plays very well with my son. They're about the same age. And he knows that my son and her son love to play together. So when it's time for him to come over there, he'll actually say, they're not here, they at home, but he can come. And I ask my son, what you want to do? You want to go to your dad's house or you want to go to Jay's house? And he'll tell me, drop me off to my dad's house or drop me off to the girlfriend's house. It don't matter. Perfect harmony. Because that's what grown people do. See, the only one I can't do that with is my last one. It is my twins' dad. Because like I say, it all depicts on who they moving with. If they not engrossed with other adults, then it's the mess you get. And that's what end up happening. I don't mingle with his other kids' moms or any, because ain't nobody mature. It's all a big ghetto mess. Big project ghetto mess. And that's not what I'm not raised out of project ghetto mess. My mama don't move like that. So it don't work. We work. I just don't care for any. I don't care for any of my kids, siblings. So
you know what I found out in our situation with my kid's dad and his first wife. Once we removed his penis from the situation, we got
wow.
We was about to kill each other over that penis.
Wow.
I mean,
we removed the penis and we still ain't getting along. Too much disrespect has been done. That man can die in the morning and I'ma still hate that hoe. So it just ain't no.
Trina saying it's on site.
I get it.
I done died.
Yep, some stuff.
Some disrespect can't be undone.
It was a lot. We had a lot of disrespect in our situation as well. When I tell you I was about to call her job and get her fired, I was like, listen, y'all need to drug test her. Y'all need to do this. Y'all need to do that. I was gonna call FBL and cut her light off on purpose. I was just gonna do all kind of nasty stuff. We had some tough times.
Not a light. Bridget, have a light. You can get a lights off.
You know why? Let me tell you why I was so mad.
Girl, tell me.
I was in his car, and the light bill was in his glove compartment. Why is the light bill in your glove compartment? You paying her bill?
Are you paying bills?
I'm finna cut him off. I'm finna call him.
I get it. Say less. I get it. Say less.
I didn't do it though.
Good for you. Good for you.
You've been delivered.
I've been delivered very much. Oh my God, the awful things that I have almost done. But yeah.
So, ladies, how do you involve your co-parent in important decisions regarding your child's upbringing?
It goes to that communication. Y'all got to talk about these things because here's the thing. I have seen relatives and friends and some people that I don't really know that well, associates or whatever you want to call them. And I have seen their partner, who is not the child's biological parent, spank or hit or discipline this kid in some physical way. And a lot of people frown upon that, but that works for them. That would not necessarily work for me, but it works for them. But then you do have these communications. I mean, you have these conversations with your partner, because what happens if your child is with me in my care and they do something mad disrespectful that I don't let my own child get away with, and how I would handle my kids. So here's my disclaimer. I'm going to treat your child the same way I would treat mine in every aspect of that. If they do something disrespectful, I'm going to call them out. I'm not going to wait. You wait till your father gets home. You wait till your mother gets here. No, wherever you show your ass, I'm going to show mine. And I'm telling you that in the beginning, because listen, same goes for my kid. If I don't allow her to do certain things, it ain't for you to allow her to do certain things. These are my rules. This is how I want my child to be brought up. And if you're going to be a part of me, meaning you're going to be a part of us, you're going to have to abide by that. If not, then I'll holler.
Yeah, I'm not hitting nobody kids. I understand what you're saying. Like I said, with my 5 bonus kids, they used to live with us at one point. So it had to come to a point where I couldn't keep calling their dad or their mom, because y'all have to understand, you have to respect me as well. So we had to end up getting a good relationship where we cool. Like I'm a fuss at y'all just like I'm a fuss at mine. And it's different. You know how kids handle different parents differently. They don't give me no problem. I can go to their mom's house and get on them about giving their mom a hard time, because I'll tell them, over at our house, I only have to ask y'all one time to do something, y'all get up and do it. Why is your mama asking you 3 and 4 times to do something? So it's good to have a good communication with the child, and it's important that everybody's on the same page when it comes to what's going to be done. Now, when it comes to important decisions, it is good to have that communication with the parent and be able to say, this is how I want to handle this, and I want your input. In my situation, it's a little different because I do pretty much everything by myself. So a lot of times I do give them the courtesy to say, this is how I handled the situation. This is what took place. This is what happened. And if I need them, for my older son, my 17-year-old, if I need his dad to have a conversation with him about something, I might tag him in. But when it comes to the decision making, I make the decisions. And I might let you know what I did. I know that that's not really how it's supposed to go, but I'm handling everything. So that's how it goes on my end.
I mean, I include the twins there in a lot of decisions just because we just so day to day. Like, I literally see him every single day. I take him to school, he pick him up from school. Then we're both at the park for football practicing because it's just so hand in hand every single day. He happens to be included in a lot of decisions just by default, just because you're there. You're just there. And so he gets included on a lot of day-to-day decisions just because his presence is there. But as far as disciplining, I don't have an issue with people disciplining my kids because I don't send my kids around nobody I don't trust. So my kids are usually with me, and I'm gonna discipline. Their dad, he gonna discipline. I trust their aunts. I trust their grandparents. The only people I can say my kids might be in the presence of are the dad's wives and girlfriends and ratchet baby mamas. But they all know not to touch my kids. So I don't have an issue when it comes to the disciplining of the kids because everybody who knows it's okay to discipline, they know. They know it's okay for them to discipline. Usually they don't. They know the boundaries. They usually don't even discipline, even though I'm okay with it. It's just not gonna happen. So I've never had a situation where my kids came home and said, Auntie hit me, because Auntie just ain't doing it. Aunties have a way of telling the twins to stop doing what they're doing without having to put her hands on them. So I just don't have that situation. The only people like I say, that my kids are around that I don't trust to touch them are daddy's girlfriends and wives and ratchet baby mamas, but they know better. You don't touch Trina kids. So I don't have the issue.
Well, let me say this too. I don't mean that I go around spanking or beating or putting my hands on my ex's children. That's not what I meant. But what I meant by discipline is the same way. Like, there's ways you can, you give them a look and they know, okay, let me stop. You understand? But again, we've communicated that. So I'm not going to let nothing happen to your children. It's like I wouldn't expect you to let something happen to my child. But there's ways, like I'll never forget when the kids, my ex-fiance, his son and my daughter, they're about a year apart, and spring break or summertime or something, we left the kids at home, and I asked them, here are your chores, this is what I need y'all to do. Of course, I got home and nothing was done. So what I did the next day was, I'm not gonna argue, I'm not gonna yell. I know he wasn't gonna do too much arguing and yelling with them because they're 15 and 16 at this time. So what I did was I changed the Wi-Fi, and I literally wrote down, for today's Wi-Fi code, these are the things that need to happen. And if none of that happened, y'all can't connect to nothing. So guess what happened? They cleaned the house. So that was my way of disciplining, him and her, because I don't want to treat one better than the other because that's my daughter and you're not my kid, or vice versa. You know what I mean? So they got equal punishment. That's what I meant by that, y'all. But at the end of the day, fuck them kids, because I will fight some children. I'm just joking. I'm joking.
All right. Do any of you have any, because while we're still talking about the co-parenting and the supporting of the child, anything you want to talk about with regard to ghost parenting? You have that parent that's just not really in the child's life as much as you would like for them to be. That's something that I had to deal with growing up as a child. My mom, she had me and my younger brother with my father. So we both share a father, and they had you know, the child support and supposed to be co-parenting and visitations and all of this. But he, even though he lived in Fort Lauderdale, he was just not there. So he co-parenting, like he was there. I knew where I could find him. Always at the church. I knew where the church was. He was a minister. Well, is a minister. So I knew where I could find him, but he was just not there. And my mom, being who she was, she never let us see how much that affected her, because she didn't want it to affect us. So we just, Dad's not here, Mom is here. I watched her do all of these things to make sure that we were taken care of. Never talked bad about him or anything. But me getting older and realizing, damn, my mama did this and this and this. And my dad was right up the street at this church, you know, doing his thing and not being what I needed him to be. As an adult now, we've rebuilt our relationship as much as, you know, you can have that kind of strange relationship with your father who's there. But as a child, I know how that affected me, not having my other parent there. And then just knowing, like, it's not that he's not alive. It's not even that he's living in another state. He's like right here and just not there. And that had a big impact on me. And I saw the impact it had on my younger brother. Like, he could care less about having any type of relationship with my father. And because he was younger, and I guess it was easier for me to, like, you know, oh yeah, that's my dad. And now we have this relationship, because I guess it could be because I'm a girl, and, you know, boys are different when it comes to not having their dads there. So what can you say or experience do you have with the ghost parenting?
That's my life. That is my current existence when it comes to my children. So with my oldest son's father, he was never there. We broke up when I was 9 months pregnant. We tried the co-parenting situation where, you know, we would just try and allow him to see him and be there, and it didn't work. I can probably still count, and again, my son is 23. I can probably still count how many times he's seen his biological father. My second kid's father, he took Brandon on. He took my oldest son in as his own. Now, where the issue lies in that is we have 2 more children, and he lives right in Miami, and he doesn't see our kids as much as I feel like he should. Now, do I badmouth him? Do I, you know, tell the kids, your dad this, your dad? I don't do that. And the craziest thing, my children think their father hung the moon in the sky. They think their father created the stars, and I allow them to think that. He can buy those kids. He can, when he does get them, when they were a little younger, he would pick them up, and, you know, for his weekend, they would always go to Dollar Tree before they came home. And when I tell you, you would think Dollar Tree sold the highest of the high priced goods, because those kids would be like, my daddy took us to Dollar Tree, and my daddy, and I'm like, that is so awesome. Let me see what he bought. And my youngest son is the same way. He told me his daddy is rich, because sometimes his dad comes by and he'll just hand him $20, and he's like, look, see, I told you my daddy rich. Oh, I'm so glad your daddy rich. I let him think it. But it bothers me, because you can do more. You can show up for them more. They need you for more than 10 minutes a month, or, you know, whatever it is that you find the time to do. So ghost parenting, it sucks, but it also depends on the type of other parent, because some moms, I'm sure, do it as well, that, you know, when the fathers have the custody, the moms are the ones that are not showing up as often as they need to, or showing up for the important events that they need to show up for. So if you're that parent that, you know, is not supporting your child the way you know that you need to, it affects them. And like for my oldest son, he doesn't care anything about his biological father, and that's unfortunate. And because the person who stepped in as dad didn't show up enough in the early adult years, like when my son was 19 and 20, and, you know, just stepping into manhood and needing to see certain things and learn certain things, He loves them. He still calls them his pops. But when it comes time to call on someone, they call me. And that's just the way it is. And I hate that it's like that for their sake. Because, you know, as kids grow up, like you said, you remember things. You remember who was there. You cleave more to that person who you know was there. And just like you said, your dad was right in Fort Lauderdale. My kids right now, my daughter just turned 13. She's always like, well, daddy's busy, daddy's working. And in my mind, I'm like, no, he's not. He's not. But okay, baby, that's fine. Just call him. If he doesn't answer, we'll call again later, or we'll do something else.
That's so sad.
It's awful, but
Yeah.
it's not. That's not my relationship. My relationship with my kids is amazing. They are going to have to answer for their relationship or lack thereof when it comes to those shit. So that's a bed they're making for themselves, and I can't do nothing but let them make it.
Yeah, I can't, honestly, I can't relate to the ghost parenting. My oldest son, his dad was there too much. he was overbearing. He was too much. It was too much. He was overbearing. He wanted to be a part of every single decision that was made, from the color of the shoestrings to the color of the socks he was there too much. And then my last set of kids, their dads, they're there just where I need them to be. Just get in where you fit in. They pick them up from school every day. They are their football coaches. They get them every weekend. They do exactly what I need them to do. I need them to pick them up from school. I don't get off work in time. You right on point. I actually love that they're the football coach. That means that if I can't make it for whatever reason to practice or a game, I'm running late, or I can't get on the other side of the gate, or daddy right there. So I love that they're their football coach. I want a break on the weekend. My kids are home all week. I'm the one who makes sure they take a shower. I'm the one who get their school clothes together. I'm the one who take them to school. I got to make sure they eat dinner. So when the weekend comes, I want to breathe. They go to their daddy house every weekend. They get in where they fit in. I don't have no complaints. So I can't really speak on the ghosting parent, not for me. Now, for me as a child, that's all I do. I can count on my 10 fingers how many times I saw my daddy in the 40-something years I've been living. He's passed away now, but he didn't pass away until I was in my late 20s. And I can still count on my fingers how many times I saw that man. So I'm very uncomfortable using the term my dad, or I never actually called on a dad. So it's a little uncomfortable to even use the term. And what was really weird and awkward about it is that I have an excellent relationship with his family. I went to his mother's house every weekend of my childhood.
Oh, wow.
And that man still was not in my life. And if I wasn't at his mother's house, I was at his sister's house every single weekend from the time I was a toddler up until 8th grade. And it stopped at 8th grade because I began to establish my own personal friendships. And, so now I'm going to friends' houses, and are they coming to my house? And so it stopped. But for the first 13, 14 years of my life, I spent every single weekend of my life at either his mother's house or his sister's house. So I have an excellent relationship with my grandmother, my aunts, my uncles, my first cousins, his entire family. Most people, I'm so bonded with his family that most people just assume that's my mother's family. It's not. All my cousins that everybody see on my social media, and that's all my father's family. And I can count on my 10 fingers how many times I saw that man in my life.
Right.
Even though I was with his family and not just every weekend. I'm talking, if there was no school, I was at his mama house. Every Christmas, every spring break, every teacher work day, if it was not school, I was at his house. I was at his mother's house, and he just did. I do not know the man. I can't tell you how old he was when he passed. I can't tell you his birth date. I can't tell you anything about that man. And I'm his only child.
Wow.
But all of our heads went.
Right.
I'm his only child, and it just wasn't there. It just
So it's not even like he was stretched between all of these kids.
Right.
Wow.
I'm his only child, had a perfect relationship with his family. Whenever he would talk to his mother, I literally would be at his mom's house and he would be on the phone with her. And it just wasn't in the cards for him. It just wasn't in the cards. And it's very hard to grow up amongst that family when your connection to them is a person you don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I have we all got the same last name. I got the same last name as his siblings and his mother but my connection to the last name, I don't even know him. I don't know him at all. I don't know him today. I didn't know him then. I don't know the man. But my connection to that family that I am so close to, and it's very weird. It's very weird. It's very awkward. Throughout my entire life, they were constantly, because when I say his family, I'm talking all my grandma's siblings, all my grandma's sibling children. I'm talking 300 relatives that I know very well, that I was raised with, and I still didn't know that man. So every time we would go, every family reunion they ever had, I was there. My grandma took me to every family reunion they ever had. His sister is my favorite aunt. I spent my entire childhood going to her house. And so even now I'm in my 40s, and she's still my favorite aunt, and that's his sister. But it is very awkward to grow up and every family member that come across, oh, you look just like your daddy. You look just like your daddy. Oh, you look just like Rick. Rick. You keep saying this. You said it when I was 4. You said it when I was 7. You said it when I'm 10. So I'm studying aging, and I'm constantly hearing this comment 500 times of my life. You look just like your daddy. You look just like Rick. It literally, I had family members, my uncle, his brother. He rarely ever called me by my name. I was always called Lil Rick. You say, who the fuck is Rick? And I don't even know this man.
That's crazy.
I didn't know the man at all. But so it was always very awkward. And I would never say anything because I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Because what made it so awkward is, even though he was never a father to me, his family thought he was a god. Oh, wow. All my cousins, they speak so highly about him. He taught half of them how to play basketball. He was this basketball star. I'd never seen a man touch a basketball because I never saw the man. But the family throughout my entire life, oh, your daddy, he's such a basketball star. He taught all the cousins to play basketball, and he do this and he do that, and he did. They think he's this god, but he was a god that never took care of his child. Never gave my mama $1. Never picked me up. Never nothing. And my mama never bad talked him because she never wanted to bad talk him because his sisters were her homegirls. My family, which made it even more awkward because my mother's mother and my father's mother, they lived like 10 houses apart. They grew up together as kids. They went to school together. They grew up together. His sisters were her homegirls. My grandmother was obsessed with my mom. She called her daughter. That's why a lot of people to this day think it's my mother's family. That is not my mother's family. That is my father's family. It just wasn't in his cards to be a father.
That's a lot.
That's really interesting.
Very, very awkward. Very, very awkward.
Wow. Oh my goodness! Wow, I couldn't imagine having to go through that, especially like you said, being a part of the family and the one connection that you have with all of these people. You don't even know this person.
I don't even know the man.
Just check.
And then imagine people telling you how great he is. He's so great. Oh, your daddy's so great. Your daddy's so great. Well, if he's so great, why he don't want to be my daddy?
Yeah.
Wow. But I'm glad you were able to have that relationship and that connection still to hit that side of the family, because a lot of the times when the father is ghost and absent, you don't even have a relationship with his side of the family. So I'm glad you were at least able to get all of that family and all of that love and support from them. Wow. I'm just looking over in the chat, seeing what's going on. They're chatting. All right, we are. Oh my gosh, we have exceeded the 2-hour mark. Girl, y'all, we was talking.
We were.
Conversation. All right, so before we get ready to head out, I want you all to just share what advice would you give to other Black mothers who are co-parenting? What is some advice based on your experiences? What is some advice?
Communicate about everything. Lessons that are being learned. Who friend said what to who friend. Whatever current events is going on. Get all up in your kids' business. Do not let them have this privacy thing, and then discuss it with the parents. Yes, the biological parent and the co-parent. Discuss everything. You can never not have enough communication skills when it comes to raising your children, because even though they're over the age of 18, they are still your responsibility, whether you believe it or not. They're going to always be there. They're going to always look for a mama, a daddy, a stepmama, a stepdaddy. So just make sure you all communicate the best you can, and you make decisions in the best regard of the child and not for self.
I would definitely say just try to make the best decisions in the best interest of the child. Sometimes we just kind of get so stressed out with the other parent. And what I have learned from my firstborn is to just relax. Things that we think are so serious in the co-parenting dynamic, you realize once you have a child that is 18, 19, it wasn't even, it's okay. Breathe. A lot of it is really not that serious. It's really not. Just try to make the decisions that's in the best interest of the child. If you're doing that and the other parent is doing that, it should be fine. You're not going to always agree. So we have to learn to agree to disagree. Because at the end of the day, a lot of the things that you end up going back and forth with the other parent about, the reality of it is those of us, which is all of us, well, the three of us, we can see with that now that we have adult children, it wasn't that deep. It was not that deep. We have shared so many arguments and disagreements with the other parent that was so unnecessary. And now that our kids are adults, if you really think back and analyze it, you can really actually think about so many unnecessary arguments. The kids are fine. The kids they're grown. They have turned out fine. They gonna be all right. A lot of the things that we argued about throughout them years was unnecessary. So now that I have younger kids, it's the reason why each father I have a better relationship with, because I have learned to breathe. It's not that deep. And a lot of times, if you just don't even do the argument and just shh, the next day, the other parent, they over it too. They just go do what you're gonna do. The next day, they be how just do what you're gonna do.
Right.
I'll do that anyway.
Right.
I would say
argue about it. I'm gonna do it anyway.
The same thing that both ladies have already said. Communicate. Keep your emotions out of it. Keep the children at the forefront, and be respectful to each other.
Yes.
I think if you do those things, it's impossible to not have a good co-parenting situation, because why not? You can't behave for the other person, but if you hold yourself accountable and make sure you are showing up with your children's best interests at heart, it makes the situation run a lot more smoothly.
I like that. And with everything that you all have been mentioning all night, the key takeaways, everybody, communicate, communicate,
Yep.
respect, and make sure that you're dynamic. You're dynamic in your co-parenting relationship and whomever they are with. If they have somebody else, that is so important. And of course, just make sure that you're doing what's in the best interest for those kids. You know, sometimes you have to take yourself and your feelings out of it and just think about what's best for those kids. Trina, Trevor asking you when you coming to sit on the hot seat. He ready for you to be on one of his episodes.
I need to know Trevor topic in advance.
He'll tell you.
I have to know his topic in advance.
Outline like I do. He'll tell you the topic, but that's all he gonna tell you. All righty. So that is it. Thank you, ladies, so much for your valuable insight, your experiences. This made for an amazing conversation tonight. Hey, Juju, thank you for joining us in the chat. Make sure you go back and catch the replay. We are ending this. We have exceeded 2 hours. And this was a phenomenal conversation. Thank you, Angela. She said time flew because the topic was fire. Yes. And that's what we're doing here on Pour Your Heart Out, Black Women's Honest Conversations. We're bringing those uncomfortable conversations, those topics that are affecting us as Black women in our community. So make sure that you keep tuning in. Our next topic, already in the group chat, the next topic is going to be something else. Remember, ladies? So y'all look out. We have some good stuff coming. And again, you're going to see different women on the panel. There are 12 of us total, but you're not going to see everybody in every episode. You know, it's based on the input and what the topic is, because obviously for this topic, we needed Black women or Black mothers who are experiencing co-parenting, because they can bring that real life and that real world experience and perspective, and we're able to learn more from them. All righty. So before we head off, any parting words anybody wants to share, anything you want to promote, now is your time. Go ahead.
I would like to make sure that we got the most important learning topic for me in this show. Men, DNA your kids. DNA your kids. DNA your kids.
And don't feel bad about it.
Don't worry about sis feelings. Don't worry about sis feelings. DNA them kids. Outside of that, you can purchase my book, Adjust My Crown, on Amazon.com. You can follow me on social media. And please, anybody who kids play sports, please check out my shop, Extreme Locker Room, for all your kids' sporting good needs. It's football season, people. Football season.
All right, and here is Trina's information. She has an amazing shop. Let me put this one up. It's easier to see. Awesome. Extreme Locker Room for kids. Here's the information. Check that out. Here's the number. Follow her on social media. She has her Instagram, she has her email, and she has her Facebook. So if your kids are playing sports, this is definitely where you want to check out and get their all of their things that they need for that. All right. So thank you so much for your valuable input, Trina. Always love having you on the panel. Shaka, you have any closing words that you want to share?
No, other than communicate, and fathers, know y'all rights. Y'all got rights too. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. Know your rights. It's not all about the women, not all about the mothers. You have rights. Go after them. All right. Queen B, what do you want to say to take us out?
I know my kids are there looking for me right now. So this has been an awesome conversation, ladies. This is great. Father, show up for your kids. It's more than money. Show up for them.
Thank you. Absolutely. It's more than about the money. It's about being there. Every decision that we make for these kids, whether we're in our feelings, regardless of how we feel about the parent, it's going to affect the kids more than it affects that man. It's going to affect the kids more than it affects you. All righty. So I'm hopping over in the comments. Ricardo, thank you so much. He's says, awesome job. Well done, ladies. We did our thing tonight. All righty. Somebody else said, Trina, she said, you have to be on every episode. Yes, you have to be on every episode. All right. Juju, I saw something that you posted about a possible topic. I'll discuss that with the ladies, and that can definitely be a topic that we add on. She's asking, can we do one about sexually abuse regarding older women and younger men? So that's something that we can talk about inside of our group chat and see how we want to tackle that one. All right. You're so welcome. Thank you, Angela. She says that she'll be back. She's a loyal viewer. We appreciate it. And thank you for contributing into the chat, Angela. I really appreciate that. All righty. So that is it. Thank you, ladies, again so much. I'm going to go ahead and send you back off so that I can do our official closing. And everybody, make sure you're liking, subscribing, turning on notifications so you don't miss a next episode. All right. So thank you, ladies.
Bye. Thank you. Good night, ladies. Great job.
All right. We did it. Another episode. It went longer than we had anticipated, but that's okay. It was awesome. My ladies are phenomenal, and I always love hearing their perspective and their insight. So thank you again to my panel of beautiful Black mothers for sharing their experiences and their insights from being co-parents inside of the Black community. So again, thank you all so much for joining. Remember, ladies, your voice matters, your perspective, it can be shared. If you have anything that you want to add to what we're saying, feel free to join us. Hop in the comments. We have a Facebook page. Feel free to like our Facebook page so that you don't miss another episode. The next episode is going to be really, really juicy. Y'all know how we do. We don't go easy. We don't tackle those lightweight topics. We hit things that are truly affecting us inside of the community. So again, thank you so much for everybody that contributed inside of the chat. Thank you for those of you that liked and that are following us, that are subscribed to us. We really appreciate that. All righty. So until our next episode, I am going to with these words. Remember, it is okay to pour your heart out. Regardless of what you're going through, somebody else is probably going through it, and we feel you. All righty. So pour your heart out, share your truth, and let your voice be heard. And you always have a platform here if you just want to share, if you just want to pour your heart out. All righty. So until our next episode, cheers. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Good night.